Here from Give SI, and we are here during our 30-hour campaign of community giving. And tonight we are now going to talk to Tony K. Wright on behalf of the Illinois Food Pantry Network. Hi, Tony. How are you tonight?
Hi, Byram. I'm great. Thank you so much for including the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network this year in the Give SI campaign.
Oh, absolutely. So, can you tell us a little bit about it?
So, the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network formed in just 2018. So, we're not too old of an organization. But what we found was that we have about 95 food pantries across Southern Illinois, the lower 16 counties of Southern Illinois. And some of them are very small rural food pantries that maybe serve 10 or 20 community members, to some of our very large food pantries that might serve 3,000 individuals throughout the course of a month. And so there's we do have our food banks in neighboring cities that provide food to many of our food pantries, but there was no real system for our pantries to network and to communicate and to rely on each other. And so we formed the Food Pantry Network to help advocate for food access and nutrition security across the region, and just really to provide some support to our food pantry managers.
Well, absolutely. And that's really kind of amazing thinking about 95 different food pantries. But I think an interesting point is, that some of them being more rural are able to get food to people that maybe don't have the ability to drive to all of these other locations that where there may be other food pantries. And then I think you said also it's because they don't all serve necessarily the same days of the week or the same, some of them may be monthly or
Yeah, some of our food pantries are open 5 days a week, all day long. We have food pantries that are only open once a month for 2 or 3 hours. Um, so it's very hit or miss and very different according to which community that you're in.
right. Right. So now the Food Pantry Network does a number of different things, right? I mean, obviously we're doing some fundraising tonight. What kind of things do we do with the funding that people could donate through our day of giving?
So this year, each year we try to focus on a special project with our Give SI campaign. And this year, we are focusing on uh, providing funding to process donated deer into ground venison so that our food pantries can have a high quality protein source. Um, Protein is hard to come by in our food pantries. It's a very costly item for all of us. And so uh, by working with hunters and getting some donated deer and working with our processors to be able to pay for that processing will allow our food pantries to have a high quality protein source throughout the winter months. Um, we have been doing fundraising for a couple of months now. We have about enough money to fund about 35 deer. And with the first deer season, we had somewhere between 20 and 25 deer donated. So we've had lots of support from our local deer hunters, and we've got a couple of processors that are very involved. And we'll actually be making our first delivery of donated deer tomorrow, which greatly coincides with the Give SI campaign. So we're excited to be able to provide some donated deer to Western Egyptian Food Pantry in DuQuoin.
Wow, that's great. So what is it? How much does it take to process one deer?
It costs us about $100 per deer, depending on our various processors, and that really is to cover the costs that they incur with packaging materials and their labor costs. They're doing it at a cost for us. They're not making a profit off of this project. And we have our neighboring states, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee. They have statewide Hunters for the Hungry projects. Um, that might be ran through their Department of Natural Resources or Parks and Recreation Centers or even food bank systems. And in Illinois, we just don't have that process established. We had it several years ago, the funding went away. So we're one of three projects that are happening throughout the state that we know of that is looking to have donated deer into ground venison for food pantries.
Wow, that's really interesting and a neat way to kind of find another protein source for to help in the food pantries.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, one of the other projects that we really focused on was increasing refrigerator and freezer storage. So we increased that capacity, so now we can give frozen ground venison. They have a place
Yeah,
to store it. So,
yeah. Oh, that's
um,
that's true. So
this is
not only do you have it, you got to have a way to store it until you can get it to the people who need it, right?
yep. And each deer will provide about 50 pounds of ground venison, which will feed about would make about 100 servings of uh, lean protein.
Wow. So a dollar a serving roughly. So that's pretty good return. So, well, that's great. So then now the Food Pantry Network does other things throughout the year as well. So all of these different, the Food Pantry Network does a lot of other things throughout the year. How else do you work to help the network?
Well, our network meets with our food pantries twice a year. Again, just based on the need of our food pantries, we try to provide some continuing education in looking at ways to offer healthier choices or ways to better streamline their services. Um, so we just really connect as a group. We also share available resources. We work with our community partners to do the Food Security Summit that we've had for 2 years, and we've continue to grow that summit. Again, looking at how we can best feed our neighbors in need. Um, we've done cold storage. We've supported health screenings at food pantries and looking at ways to bring services to food pantry clients where they are in our community. Um, we There's a number of things that we do. Our food pantries really they do way more than provide food. They're providing referrals and resources and support in various ways. And so, looking at ways that we can better support our food pantries and meet their needs of being sustainable and um, being appreciated in their communities.
Right, absolutely. And I think the other thing I've noticed too is that you spend a lot of time talking about the types of foods, and that we really do work hard to the food pantries to provide um, not just a bunch of sugar filled products, because that doesn't really help someone in the long run. Other If you could just give them a big sugar rush and then you're still hungry an hour later when you come down.
Absolutely, and we know that people who rely on food pantries oftentimes have more chronic illness, higher incidence of diabetes and high blood pressure, and so by providing healthier foods, fruits packed in natural juices, fresh fruits and vegetables, high quality proteins, vegetables in no salt added, that really just helps overall health, and overall health for individuals will have a greater impact on healthier communities and better outcomes for the community. And so again, we want to provide our friends and neighbors with what they need, but also what they like and what they'll enjoy. We really are trying to navigate our food pantries to more client choice. We have some great client choice food pantries across the region where people can go in and shop and pick out the foods that they need and want, instead of receiving a box of food that you're not sure what's in it, and maybe you can't use all of it, maybe you have food allergy, maybe there's a health condition that you can't eat some of that. And so instead of some of that food going to waste, looking at giving clients that opportunity to choose the foods that their families need and want.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to just pass food around if no one can really utilize it, because then they still carry it home and they're still hungry. So client choice is a really a neat innovation to it, and giving them healthier food too. So and then let's see. I think the other thing too is like you've talked about in the past. Um, Sometimes you get like stuff brought to you from some of the local farming community, and then but not everybody knows how to use maybe collard greens or something. So I think I've seen some times where you've given people like, well, here's how you could use this to make a healthy meal.
Yeah, and I'm representing Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network, but I also work for University of Illinois Extension and our SNAP education program, and we have a number of healthy recipes, and oftentimes we try to focus the recipes that we have on foods that are common in food pantries or foods that are grown locally. So again, both of those combinations. Um, and we in Southern Illinois have brought our community outreach workers together and have created YouTube videos on how to prepare those recipes. So 3 to 5 minute videos on healthy cooking demonstrations. Now that is edited down, so the whole recipe might not take 3 to 5 minutes. You might need to simmer it for 30 minutes, but we do have those resources available, and we share those with our food pantries. So again, that families can use the foods that they're receiving. We have lots of garden projects and farmers market projects that are again growing food, locally grown, garden raised fresh produce that can end up in food pantries. And we've had some great success with that. And our food pantry clients are really, they really look forward to that time of year. And we're fortunate because we have a long growing season in Southern Illinois. So we garden from about late March to middle to late October. So we have a long growing season and able to grow lots of different crops. And so again, we just want to teach our food pantry clients how to use those if they're a little bit unfamiliar with them.
Well, that's great. So, I mean, kind of like we do this in all throughout this 30 hours, even something that sounds as simple as a food pantry is still doing so much more in the community than just handing someone a can of green beans or something else. There's so much more to it. And the opportunity to sponsor other types of protein and get more protein to our families that are in need, just such a great opportunity. So if you're out there and want to donate, givesi.org, and you can search and find the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network. There's also some other links that I think Tony has that is shared on her Facebook page, the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network Facebook page. Boy, I can't hardly get that out. But so great. Thank you for joining us tonight, and please reach out and support us.
Thanks, Byron. Best of luck the next 24 hours now.
Yeah, it is. It's about another 24 hours of this. So no, it's good. It's going well. So, and donations are coming in. So keep it up, everyone. And we appreciate it. Thank you, Tony, for your work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.